When the new Wahoo TRACKR radar light was first introduced, reviewers told us all about its performance, specs, and features. And the bottom line was that the Wahoo TRACKR's reliability, accuracy, detection range, battery life, and features were all as good or better than the Garmin Varia RTL515 radar, the original and until now the gold standard for bike radars. But there were three questions most reviewers didn't get into or spend much time on. Number one, what do drivers see from the TRACKR and Varia radar lights? Number two, what light modes should you use so that drivers see you best? And three, how can you save battery life on the radar when there are no vehicles behind you? If the performance of the TRACKR and Varia is equally good, I think the answers to these three questions are equally, if not more important than their specs and features, and can help you make a decision on which of these radars to buy. In this video, I'll answer those questions and hopefully make your ride safer and your radar battery last longer. Hi, I'm Steve from the In the Know Cycling website and YouTube channel that's dedicated to helping you figure out what cycling gear to get next and where to get it from the best stores at the best prices. Okay, let's roll. On the left of the screen, you'll see approaching cars behind me from a camera attached to the back of my helmet. On the right of the screen, just below the saddle, you can see the Wahoo TRACKR radar on the left and the Garmin Varia RTL515 on the right from a second camera suspended behind me. This is what drivers are seeing, albeit at greater distance. And I'm using two Wahoo Roam V2s to display notifications from both radar units that I, as the rider, see. The Roam V2 visual notifications show in the LEDs to the side of the screen rather than on the screen itself, so you won't see them in the screen recording. You can hear the audio notifications from the computers. The TRACKR is a little bit louder than the Varia, and of course you can see the light's brightness and patterns change, which is what the car sees and what I want you to focus on in this video, rather than what's going on my computers. And for that reason, I've now removed the computer displays from the screen, and I apologize in advance for you having to see so much of my backside. I'm using the Roam V2s because I have two of them, and as I'm making this video, I'm also preparing one that reviews the new Roam 3, the third generation Hammerhead Karoo, and the newest Edge 850 from Garmin. You can find that in the description box if it's finished when you're watching this video, or if not yet, you can subscribe to the channel and get notified about it when that video is finished. You can also find links to the best stores with the lowest prices, including discount codes for the bike radars and computers I've just mentioned in the description box below. Now the rig I've got set up today, the selfie pole with the GoPro camera hanging off it, looking straight back at the radars, is set up to ideally see the flashers and the signaling from the car's perspective. There may be some interference with the radars themselves and how they notify you, so it may look like one is notifying earlier than the other in certain cases, but I'm not set up to measure that today. I'll leave it to people like Shane Miller, aka GP Llama, who have an extensive protocol, a rigorous protocol, done extensive testing, and you can see what he has to say about the difference of these two. Basically, as I understand it, very little, if any, in terms of the accuracy. But here it is in Shane's words.
It was really refreshing to see the TRACKR radar, the WADAR, working just as well as the RTL515. I couldn't split the difference between the two in a lot of scenarios. It detected, it held onto threats. It was working as expected. Okay.
Let me lay out why I wanted to focus this video on what drivers see when you use a bike radar light rather than what you see on your bike computers from that radar. While certainly both are important, I've long believed it's a lot more important that drivers are aware of you than you are aware of the vehicles behind you. That's because there's more a driver can do to get out of your way than you can do to get out of theirs. And because their vehicle is bigger than you and your bike, and typically going faster, it's in your self-interest that they see you and get out of your way. If a driver sees you far enough ahead, they can slow down and wait behind you until it's safe to pass, and then do so with plenty of space between you and them. If they don't, well, let's just say it could end up badly for you. You, on the other hand, ride alongside of the road, 3 or 4 feet or about a meter or so from the edge, and you hold your line when a vehicle passes. You don't pull off the road, or you don't ditch it in the bushes every time a car passes. When you want to cross traffic or ride closer to the center of the lane to avoid whatever might be on the side, you first look behind you and ahead of you before you move off your line, or at least you should, even if you have a radar light. When you're done with your turn or whatever caused you to want to move away from the side of the road, say a pothole or a rough road surface, you go back to the side of the road so you can give passing cars the most amount of space in the lane that you're both traveling in. If you're new to radar and want to know how it compares to using blinking lights that don't have a radar sensor, I cover that in my video linked above and below, which compares the Garmin Varia to the Trek CarBack and to standard blinking lights. In most of the videos so far, you've seen both radar lights set to the highest or the high solid mode. They start flashing once the radar transceiver detects a car behind you. As you can see here, the tracker emits a very bright, solid pulse when it detects a new approaching car before switching to a flashing mode. Here's some video of radar units set in the high flash or fast flash mode. You can see and hear both units triggering when cars approach. In this clip, you can also see how the tracker puts out a solid, bright pulse when I slow down. I'm not sure how valuable that is. An approaching car will already see your flashing signal. Oh, whoa, whoa! Good God! So what light mode should you use so that drivers see you best? Well, there's not much discussion on this in all the videos and the articles I've seen. But as you probably know, and as they have been described, there are 4 modes: high and low flash, high and low solid. The flash versus a solid, of course, refers to whether the light flashes when there's no vehicle behind you that's being detected. The high versus a low refers to the light's brightness based upon how many lumens it's putting out. The Wahoo TRACKR flashes at the same frequency, or flashes per second, in both high and low flash mode, while the Garmin Varia and the Trek CarBack flash faster in the high mode than in the low mode. When there's a vehicle being detected, all 3 radar lights will start flashing regardless of the mode that they were set to originally. The tracker flashes brighter and changes its flash pattern from the one it uses when it's in the high flash mode. You can see that in the video. The Varia claims to flash more quickly, but not more brightly. Research shows that you want the brightest light during the daytime, and at night you want the lower brightness with less lumens so that you don't blind or annoy drivers with your bright light. You also want flashing versus solid. A flashing light is more likely to grab a driver's attention than a solid one if the driver sees you way down the road well before the radar sees their vehicle. The fact that a solid light setting turns to a flashing one once a vehicle is detected indicates which mode is more effective. So you want high flash by day and low flash by night. The brightness versus battery trade-offs also favor the flash setting. In the Wahoo TRACKR, for example, as you can see in this chart, it claims that the high flash is 5 times brighter than the low solid, with the same battery life. For the Garmin Varia RTL515, it claims 8 times the brightness in high flash versus low solid, or what they call Peloton mode, and getting still 2 times the battery life. Compared to high solid, the high flash gives you 2.5 to 3x the brightness with 1.5 to 2x the battery life with the TRACKR and Varia respectively. I've now changed my default from running low solid to high flash during the day. I also see no reason to ever run the radar in low solid mode when I'm riding alone. Now when I'm riding in a pace line, I do run my radar in low solid, primarily for the notification it gives me on my head unit. That's because if I'm at the back of the line without anyone blocking my radar and a car approaches, I can call out CarBack so that if anyone has just pulled off the front of the line or is riding two abreast, they can get back in line. Now let's talk about how you can get more battery life from your Wahoo TRACKR and Garmin Varia RTL515. The TRACKR has a battery saver mode that you can set for 50% less bright when there are no cars detected behind you. It's only available on the TRACKR and from using the My Wahoo app, so it's somewhat limited. With the Varia, you need to change the mode from high to low to get the benefit. You need to do that manually and on the run versus having it happen automatically using with the TRACKR using the My Wahoo app. There's also a way that you can automatically save battery life on the Wahoo TRACKR, the Garmin Varia, the Trek CarBack, or frankly any Ant Plus radar light by using Wahoo Computer's auto light setting. You set it to turn off the bike radar light, but not the bike radar sensor, 1, 5, or 10 seconds after a vehicle passes. It then turns the light back on again when it senses another vehicle coming up. Again, it works with any Ant Plus radar system, but the setting is only available on a Wahoo Element Bolt 2 or 3, a Roam 2 or 3, or their largest ACE computer. How long does this extend the battery's life? Well, it's hard to say exactly because it depends upon your traffic and your settings. But for me, I rode the TRACKR for a couple of weeks, totaling about 20 hours in the high flash mode with a 1-second auto light turn off until I got the notice from the TRACKR saying I'm down to 20% battery. Now that's considerably longer than the up to 15 hours of battery life claimed for the TRACKR in the high flash mode. Well, that's just one data point. I've projected the potential benefit of using the Autolight feature. That's because various tests and analysis point to the light being the primary drain on these units, somewhere between 70 and 80% of the battery drain when the light is in the high flash or high solid mode. The radar sensor drains another 15 to 25%, and the communication to the head unit at most about 5% from these analyses. So saving the light usage will have the biggest effect of saving battery in your Garmin or Wahoo radar unit. If you then run the numbers, you could add 3 hours or about 20% of battery life to the TRACKR or Varia in the high flash mode if the light is off 25% of the time. In the section of video you've been watching, the TRACKR light is set to stay on for only 1 second after a vehicle passes, while the Varia light is set to stay on high solid. Now I get that some of us like to keep our lights on all the time by habit and because of the security it provides, or because we just weren't aware of this Autolight feature or don't have a Wahoo computer. For all the time I've been using Wahoo computers and a Garmin Varia radar, I never knew about this feature until I read about it when the TRACKR first came out. But if you do have the option to have the light turn off 1, 5, or 10 seconds after a car passes until the next vehicle approaches, why not do it? It's kind of like that philosophical question that asks you to consider whether reality exists independently of you as an observer. You know, the one that asks if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, does it really make a sound? My parallel question is, if a radar light is on and there's no driver behind you to see it, why waste your battery? Well, of course, some of you may counter saying that you should keep your radar light on to be visible to drivers beyond the detection range, say about a quarter mile on a long straight road, or on roads with a lot of sharp turns where the range is reduced because the car just comes upon you after coming out of a turn. Others will say that beyond the battery savings, it's a benefit to alert drivers by having a light come on and flash when it detects a car to get the driver's attention, just like it does by changing its flash pattern or increasing its brightness when you've got the light on all the time. My suggestion, if you ride in places or at times where there's a lot of traffic, keep your light on. But if you ride where there's very little traffic or when there's not much going on around you, have the light turn off after 1 or 5 seconds. A separate question really is the extra battery life you get from the auto light feature for your TRACKR, Varia, or CarBack reason enough to buy a Wahoo computer or switch to one when you need to replace your Garmin or other computer? Well, I'd say it's one of the factors, but not as important as others that separate the bike computers. But if you're otherwise undecided, the auto light feature could put you in the Wahoo bike computer camp. Well, what are my recommendations? Well, first of all, run your radar light in high flash mode during the day and low flash mode at night, regardless of the model you use, except when you're running in a pace line. Secondly, the Wahoo TRACKR's performance, its reliability, accuracy, detection range, detection in various scenarios, and battery life are comparable with the Garmin Varia RTL515. But what the driver sees, the radar light's brightness and variable flash pattern, make the TRACKR more visible, at least as I see it on the various scenarios I've shown you. If you're a Wahoo computer user, consider using the auto light in lower traffic areas or times of day when there isn't a lot of traffic to save or extend your battery life. Now the TRACKR at $250 US is $50 more than the Varia, but using the discount code in the description box, you can cut 10% or $25 off the TRACKR's price. And the TRACKR uses a USB-C charging plug while the Varia still uses a micro USB one. Thanks for watching. If you found the video helpful in deciding which radar light to get, then please like and subscribe and use the links in the description box to buy the gear I've talked about in this video and any gear you need or want. That will help keep the channel free of annoying ads and sponsor pitches during the videos. I look forward to seeing you again, at least digitally, for my next video. Bye-bye now.